This is the fourth video of this section, which is called Access Control Filter, the Silver Bullet. In the previous video, we learned how to create a user registration page for our monsters using custom URL rules, model validators, and ActiveForm. Now, we'll learn how to add a little law and order to our application by restricting access to certain pages using the Access Control Filter. The Access Control Filter, or ACF for short, is the broadsword of application security, as its one job is to decide whether to allow or deny access to an entire controller action. The Access Control Filter is implemented in your controller code. It actually adds code that runs before each of your controller actions and decides whether to allow or deny access based on rules that you configure. We previously created a controller for our application with 4 actions, one for each of the standard CRUD operations. It makes sense to allow access to the create and read actions to the world, but it would probably be sensible to restrict access to the edit and delete pages only to logged in users. So go ahead and open up monstercontroller.php from the controllers folder and add a use statement for the access control class. Then, scroll down to the behaviors method and add an access section. The first setting is class. Every object in YII has a method called className, which can be used to return the fully qualified class name. So we'll use that to set the access control class. Next, we'll set the only attribute, which takes an array of controller actions to secure. As we've already discussed, we're going to focus on the update and delete action. Adding these 2 lines will now block access to these 2 controller actions for everyone. You'll see that attempts to access either of these pages redirect us to the login page. Moving right along, we'll create a rules item in our configuration, and then create an array of arrays. The innermost arrays provide configuration options for the access rule class. The first attribute to configure is called allow. If you set this to true, it means that you are allowing access to this controller action. Conversely, if you set it to false, the rest of the rule defines who should be denied access to this action. The first rule will be an allow rule, so set it equal to true. Then, create an actions index, and give it an array with 2 values, update and delete. Finally, we use an array with the @ symbol as its only value to set the roles attribute. The @ symbol is a shortcut that ACF interprets as authenticated, or logged in users. Head over to your browser and make sure you're logged out. Open up monstermash.dev/monster and click on any one of the pencil icons, which would normally bring you to the update page. However, as we already saw before, you are now brought to the login page. Let's log in Dracula again. Remember, his username is fangman999 and his password is yummyblood. Click the login button and marvel as you are instantly brought to the update page. Remember to log out, and let's do the same thing with the delete page. Pull up the monster index page again and click one of the garbage can icons. Confirm that you want to delete this item, and you'll be brought to the login page again. Login is Dracula, and you'll be brought to the... Oh wait, there's a problem. We're getting a 405 error, and are told that this is because the delete action can only be invoked by a post request. If we look back at our controller code, we can see that there is actually another filter being applied to this controller, the verb filter. Even without understanding too much about the verb filter, it should be easy to see that it is being used to limit the delete action to post requests. By default, ACF sends you to the login page when it denies access to a page. However, on successful login, YII sends you to the page you were initially trying to access. But of course, it is doing so using a GET request, not POST. If only we could change the default deny behavior for our delete action. By now, hopefully you have enough faith in YII to realize that we can do just that. Head to your ACF configuration and add another item, deny callback. We'll define an anonymous function here that takes 2 parameters, rule and action. The default login redirect behavior is great for the update action, but for the delete action, we can just display an error message. So throw a forbidden HTTP exception with an obvious error message, and that's just what our app will do. Head back to the browser one final time, make sure you're logged out, go to the monster index, click delete, and you'll see our nice error message prominently displayed. Well, we're now at the end of the video. In this video, we have learned how to restrict access to pages in our application using the Access Control Filter. When we return, We'll learn how to create more fine-grained security rules using role-based access control.